This is Josh here from Codyco Farm, and today we're going to do a quick video looking at rootstock on mulberry, and in particular the issue of nematode infestation on the roots. So we have 3 different varieties here. Actually, 2 of them are probably the same. Root knot nematodes and even other species of nematodes can be a real problem on many types of plants, including plants in the Moraceae family, such as figs and mulberries. Seems to be less awareness what an issue this is with mulberry, so we are going to look at this really quickly and explain why it's so important. We have another video on our channel about chip budding mulberries, so you can go there to see how we actually use these rootstocks and how we do a quite effective method of grafting using chip budding. And we are in Central Florida in one of the most nematode infested places that I'm aware of. The nematode pressure is very severe. So what you see here is a pretty heavy infestation of nematode damage. And in this case, it's not just affecting the small fibrous roots, but it's also up into this more structural, heavier, thicker root. And so oftentimes mulberries are rooted from cuttings and or tissue culture. And so a lot of what's being pumped out into the world at a large scale is susceptible to this problem. And what you will see in the tree is low vigor, wilting at times when it really shouldn't be, and eventually you can have like a sudden death because the tree just collapses. So these nematodes make these lesions and damage these roots, and what happens here, we have some necrosis, dead tissue, and this big gall here, it undermines the plant's ability to pull up water and nutrients and compromises its health. So a tree can go for some years with this level of infestation, but it will never be as healthy as a tree that's free of infestation. And then we come right here, different variety, same soils. This is what healthy mulberry roots should look like, with no visible galls, no problem. Now I did not go and hunt special clean looking roots on these. I randomly dug my hands in the soil, found roots, and I did the same on this. So what we have here are 2 rootstocks that are probably the same thing. I'll explain. Tice is an old-fashioned Florida mulberry, and in a lot of the state, when there's a big old tree with a thick trunk that you can climb, and there's a big leaves and a really large fruit, somewhat sparse on the tree, but will be productive on a large tree, and it's a large fruit that's sweet and acid with a classic flavor. Oftentimes that is Tice mulberry, selected in Tice, Florida, or something very closely related. So this one is called Estero Giant. We got this years ago from our friend Taylor, propagated from a giant tree in Estero. Estero is right nearby Tice, to my understanding. So very likely this is Tice. Now this one we call Crone. This one came from our neighbor John Crone. Same thing, big healthy trees. Now on both of these, there are many traits that look just like the Tice clone. The color of the bark, the way the fruit tastes, the appearance of the leaves, the appearance of the young buds, the color of the young buds, the fact it doesn't get nematodes, on and on and on. I can say with some level of confidence that these are probably both Tice. However, because I can't do a DNA test, I am continuing to call them a separate clone, because the last thing I want to do is add something to the world that's just adding confusion with mislabeling, because they could be something slightly different. They could be siblings, they could be seedlings, they could be different clones, but for all purposes of most people, they're basically the same thing. Now this one is called Maui. I honestly don't even know if this fruit is much good, because the tree is so compromised from the nematodes that it doesn't ripen very nice fruit for me. So all this really is to show these 2 special rootstock varieties. Fortunately, these root pretty easily from cuttings, which is a needed trait to be able to make them for rootstock. And as you can see, there's no nematode damage on both of these, all the way down to the littlest hairs. They're very healthy. I don't see even one discernible speck of damage. Now, it's possible if you scoured the whole root system, maybe you could find a gall or two. But what we see here is that the roots of this tree are really not affected by root knot nematodes. Same here. If we look closely, really don't see it. And then when we look here at the Maui, this is classic nematode symptoms. Most varieties will look like this if you look. Dwarf everbearing is terrible for this. Pakistan, all the Himalayan, honestly, almost everything that I've ever looked will look like this. Even the 6th Street, which can outgrow this, it does get some nematode lesions. So to my knowledge, this is the only one I'm aware of, this and this, which again may be the same thing. The only thing I'm aware of that is basically shows complete resistance. So far, we have successfully grafted all kinds of varieties onto this rootstock. Some of them are approaching quite a few years, and they do not show any delayed grafting compatibility or anything like that. So this appears to be a universal rootstock, at least with everything I've tried. Easy to root, easy to graft to. They receive the grafts well. I don't know if that varies between clones, but so yeah, we are working hard to be continually offering rooted plants of either one or the other. Unfortunately, our neighbor decided to cut this tree down with a chainsaw back to a stump, so it's gonna probably be a while till we have access to cuttings of this again. Oh, I should mention, we have trees grafted to both of these in our grove that are performing very well, and the varieties on top are hyper vigorous compared to what they are in their own roots or when they're grafted to another rootstock. So this tree is probably 4 or 5 years old. This one's even older, maybe 6 years old. That something else is grafted on top of these. Very healthy growth of Skinner, Himalayan, and other clones grafted onto the top of these rootstocks. Okay, so we sometimes offer cuttings, and we are trying to have little rooted plugs and plants. And if you come here in person, we often have 1-gallon plants of these. So if you're looking to grow a long-term healthy mulberry tree, this is the way to go. You can check out our website. We either offer cuttings, again, plants, whatever it is. If you can get it going, you only need 1 tree, and then you can propagate for yourself in the future. It's a very vigorous variety because it's not impeded by this. In a year, you can grow out a tree and have quite a lot of your own cuttings to make more from. And don't be daunted by the grafting. If you watch our video, you'll see it's pretty easy. And if you just have a razor blade, some parafilm, and take a little time, you're almost sure to have some success if you keep practicing. So this is the long-term game. Maybe a tree like this, with roots like this, with another variety grafted to it, can live 100 years. There are Tice-type trees around Florida that appear to be 100 years old. This is not going to live very long. It's just a matter of time until this damage creeps in, slowly cuts off all the fibrous roots. Even the fibrous roots themselves, their functionality is really reduced by all this infection. So it's a ticking time bomb to lose this. Well, it is alive, it's less productive, it needs more water, it's less healthy in general. Roots are the key to healthy plant growth. And in the case of these trees, very easy to get around this problem just by using a rootstock. We have figured out, well, we didn't figure it out, but we have a solution of a rootstock for figs as well, which hopefully we'll make more videos about in the future. But with all trees, it's very worthwhile to try to find these kinds of things. Guava is another one that gets nematodes that I'm interested in trying to learn about rootstocks. Okay, so here you have it. Again, Maui, maybe not particularly bad. This is typical for most mulberry. Crone, again, probably the same thing as Tice. Asterogiant, probably also the same thing as Tice. Very resistant. All right, hope this was helpful. And you can go to codycofarm.com, and hopefully at the time you're watching this, we have availability of some form of one of these 2 varieties, and you can get them and start to develop your own mulberries. I should mention, these are perfectly wonderful trees. all on their own right, just grown as a specimen. However, the fruit is large, it does taste good, but they don't produce very much per, node of the tree. So it's not very productive as a small tree, and it's also hyper vigorous. This is a great selection to have on a larger property. This can grow out in the back 40 or whatever on a bigger homestead, somewhere where you want to have a big tree for shade and let kids climb in the tree and all that. It's good for that. If you have a small yard, there's lots of varieties that will make a lot more fruit managed as a compact tree using this as a rootstock. Okay, hope this information was helpful. We will see you later. Bye.